to call the meeting to order, and we'll start with the planning report.
Good evening. Planning report for last week's September 3rd planning meeting. We had the rezoning for Lance Bond. This has been an ongoing project, heard about it a few different times just in passing. It's coming before y'all this month. It's a large parcel of land up on Farrar Road, intersection of Farrar Road and Farrar Lane, and they're proposing to have a PZD put in place for a mixture of single family home types. We can get into these specifically here in a little bit if you want. I'll just go through the actual report for now. But I will say the planning commission has voted unanimously to confirm this request and send it on to you all for approval. The second item was rezoning for Highway 112 Partners LLC. This is part of the property, part of the parcel located at 2349 North Main. Larger overall parcel that's on the corner of the intersection of Pleasant Grove / Haxton 112. We've talked about this a couple times. You've heard about it passing. Proposing to rezone approximately 9 acres of that parcel on the intersection to C2 from A1.
Is that the northwest corner?
Yep, northeast. Yes, northwest corner of the intersection. Yes. Planning commission also has voted unanimously to affirm this request. And then our other rezoning that's coming before y'all this month is rezone for ESCH. This property is located on the south west part of the southwest intersection. There's a residential property that's right on the intersection of this parcel. It's kind of L-shaped, goes around it. And they're also proposing to rezone this to C2 from A1. And the planning commission has also voted unanimously to affirm this request and send to y'all. The other item of action that we've been looking at, we've been working on the comprehensive zoning map and getting that updated with the land swap and recent annexations. So we have before y'all our proposed draft of that and what the new zoning map would look like. It fixes a lot of non-conforming parcels, a lot of lots in existing subdivisions that part of the renaming and redesignation of residential zoning categories where there was some mix-ups when that happened. So this is a very comprehensive fix of our zoning map. And planning commission has also voted unanimously to affirm this in y'all. All of these, have had public hearings. We held a public hearing for the zoning map also, and the two Pleasant Grove 112 rezonings this last meeting. So, and basically those are all y'all's action items for the month too. So, if y'all have any questions about any of those, we also have representatives here from the couple of the different groups. But I know that the bond property rezoning applicants are here and they would like to go over what they're proposing and kind of give you a presentation. They've got some handouts and stuff for you. So if you want to start with that, we can. Y'all have anything that you want to start with?
If y'all are ready for us, okay. Sorry. We were gonna get this on, like a screen, but it didn't work out. So I'll just tell you a little bit about us and then a little bit about the project. And then I have my presentation, I handed it out to you, so you should be able to kind of follow along like that. And the first page is really just kind of what's in our PZD packet that you should have from planning, right? And then the second page is about Buffington Homes. We've been in the area for almost 20 years now. All of our owners are local. Everyone that works for us is local. And we build, about 200 homes a year. We generally build higher end homes, so our price point generally starts around 500,000 and goes up into about 1.2 million. So that's our kind of where we build and the product that we build. You can see a little bit of it back here. I don't want to get too much in a way, but I can share more about that. So that's kind of who we are. We build luxury homes, and then we're also kind of in the process, and I think a lot of home builders in the area and in general are kind of shifting away from this traditional idea of a subdivision and trying to build communities, and that's one of the things that Buffington has started to focus on. I've been with them a little over 3 years now, and we really shifted away from that, you know, straight streets and houses all lined up next to each other. One of the reasons is because it's, you know, visually not necessarily, you know, attractive, and then the other reason is it's really hard on the land, it's really hard on the environment. So we're hoping to shift away from that. You can see in kind of our visioning document that you should have right here, where our focus is. So our goals and our vision is kind of written out here for you for this particular community at the Bond property. This is for our road up here, and then for our lane kind of on the top. And then this is, this is the bluff that you can see from 112 now, and you can see that we're preserving that entire thing, and then kind of back into the lots, we have a tree preservation easement. So our goal for this community is really to work with the land versus kind of trying to impose our community on top of it. We're keeping the existing pond, we're widening it, or we're deepening it and making it bigger, and then our goal is to kind of make it a living pond, so we'll have aquatic native plants around it, and we'll stock it, and really make it kind of a community centerpiece. We'll have trail access. This is our trailhead right here, which will go down to the creek, and we'll have trail through there, and then definitely have our tree canopy preserve. So you can read a little bit more in our visioning document about kind of what we're wanting to do with habitat restoration and native plants, drought-resistant plants, things like that, where we're really trying to blend into the surroundings versus just kind of stripping the site and planting some non-native invasive trees. If you're not familiar with the location, there's a location map in here that kind of shows you where the community will be. It's at the end, not necessarily the end, but if you drive all the way down for our road, where if it's for our lane, it goes kind of back. This is for our road right here, and then for our lane, this is that intersection at, or well, what is kind of an intersection for our road right now, and then this is it back here. And most of this you can kind of, like all of our mapping and everything is in the packet, as well as our engineered site plan, so you can get kind of a better idea. But we have 4 different lot sizes here. We kind of start at 52 by 120 in this area, then we go into 55s and then 60s, and then these are estate lots. So these are planned to be, you know, start at about $1 million and then go up to about 1.2 on these rear lots here. So these will be our large estate plans. If anyone kind of wants to see what we build, we have a community that is in Cave Springs now, called Evening Star, where we're building a lot of the product that we'll build here. And you can walk through our model, you can walk through, if you want to go through some of our homes that are under construction, I'm happy to walk you through those and meet you out there, and you can kind of see the type of product that we're building. We recently, I would say in the last year, completely revamped all of our products. So if you've seen our homes previously, what we're building, what we're starting to build now is going to look a little bit different. We have our phasing map in here, and it kind of shows you how we'll start. We'll start up here. This is where, you know, the amenity will be, and this kind of gives you an idea of what our what our amenities will look like. Got that? It doesn't play. Okay, yeah. So you can see here, so like I said, we're building a living pond here. It won't just be like a detention tank. You can see some of the things that we'll do. So we'll have trail access down to the creek. We'll have community gathering areas. We'll have, you know, a pool amenity, a clubhouse, playgrounds, and this kind of just gives you an idea of what we're going for here in the amenity area. And then we have our second and our third phase. Again, I said there's 3 different lot types. So, you know, a lot of communities in the past have had really standard lot sizes. Our goal is to kind of shake that up a little bit. We've gotten, in the last, particularly like the last 3 to 5 years, increasingly, generational families wanting to live together in the same neighborhood, like, the grandparents don't need a huge house, but the family with 3 kids does, and so we started to kind of shake up the way we lay out our lots and the size of our lots so that we can offer different product, throughout the community, and so you'll see some different lot sizes in here that allow, different types of housing here. Like I said, our landscape, and then this is our landscape visioning here. We try to focus on all native and drought resistant plants. We work closely with Planning Commission to make sure that all of our plant palette that was approved were native plants, so that we're not bringing anything invasive into the community, particularly because we're in such an environmentally sensitive area right above the creek. Anything that washes down there would go, throughout the basin. So we're really focused on using native plants and native species, for our landscaping palette, and that should be in your packet as well. And just let us know if there's any trees in there that, you don't particularly like, and we can switch them out. Hillary and I, we both work for Buffington, and we've gotten really into native plants, so we can help if there's something that you'd like to see or that you don't see, in the overall plant palette. We also have our street sections in here. We also have our engineer, Matt Cox, and he can answer any questions that you might have about that. We have a couple of non-standard street sections that we put together with Planning Commission, with your planning staff and your engineering staff. And then really just our product, the first product that you see is our estate product. And like I said, this is a product that the first time that we built it is at our Evening Star community, so you can walk through those homes and kind of see it, and what it looks like. And then our signature product, which is a little bit smaller, probably would start at like a $615,000 price point in these planning areas, so we've been on these lots here. And then we have our product interior, and so the way that Buffington works is we're not necessarily a custom builder, but we're, I would say maybe semi-custom. So what you can do, you come in, you choose your lot, you choose your plan, and then you can choose everything else from there. And we have hundreds and hundreds of options. So basically you're able to design your house with us versus just kind of buying a finished house. We don't start a build until we go through a full design process with a homeowner. So all of our houses look a little different, our color palette will be a little different, so you're not gonna see that cookie cutter look. Each house is kind of individually designed by the future owner. And then we do have some material selections here, and we're happy to provide additional material selections. This is a very small snapshot of one of our models at Allen's Mill, so it gives you an idea of what we do, but not really everything. I think that's really all I have. I'm here to answer any questions that you have, and if between now and the next meeting y'all have questions for either me or our staff, just let us know. And we've got cards and everything.
I've got a couple of questions. Can you go over the type of lots again?
Sure.
You can't, I see the color difference, but I can't read that small.
Yes, it is a little small in there. So this is these lots here. Actually, I think I might have. Yep. Okay. This might help a little bit. Okay. So, yes. So these are 52 by 120 in the red here.
52 by 120.
Yes. And then in the blue, we're 55 by 120. Right here in the blue.
Okay.
And then the green is 60 by 120, right?
50.
60.
60.
60. And then, and these are standard lot sizes, so some of these may vary. Some of them are gonna be a little bigger, particularly back here, and here we get up close to half an acre. But generally, these are gonna be about 75 by 120, but as you can see, these are obviously much deeper than 120. This is kind of the minimum for these, but these are gonna be much bigger lots. And the lot type is the minimum lot size for these lots. We couldn't go lower, but if we needed to go a little bit higher, we could. These are definitely gonna be Order is property owned by others. We don't currently own that property. We're not under contract for it. So, you know, if there should be some future negotiation between us, we wanted to show what that would look like, but it is not a part of this approval.
Thank you.
I have a question, like how the buildings are home, and drainage at the time is a huge issue. Where do you have detention ponds, or is your drainage just going down to the creek? Like what's going on?
I'll let our engineer kind of speak
I don't
to
mean
that.
like a full thing, I just need to know what's planned for, and, because we've had a lot of problems with drainage.
The easiest way to describe it is the bluff cul-de-sacs, like the pink lots there on the board,
Yes.
they will drain directly to the floodplain, Osage Street.
Okay, so they'll go directly down, which makes,
Yep, that's essentially, that's the plan, you know, we've gotta do an intensive study and all that and figure out.
and that drainage won't affect the creek or the
That's right.
trails or.
Yeah, all that will get planned for and designed through the construction process.
Okay, so that you don't think would have an impact on the homes on the downside of the creek? Like that are running,
No, yeah, we can't, yeah, it would not, like.
it would not
Yeah,
like
we
flood the
can't,
creek
yeah,
so
yeah,
much
that's
that it
right.
would go up into a
That's
problem,
right.
okay?
We can't show a rise in the
They still
Okay.
can't release at a higher rate.
Yeah,
even if they are
I
let it go.
understand like things like that, but it's still, I see that the rates are fine, like the Hillcrest subdivision going behind us. We have a farmer calling because water now is coming through his property that never had come through before. But it needs the rates and whatever you all planned for, but that's a big shock to a homeowner that has never seen water there before. So that wouldn't affect that, it wouldn't, I mean, the creek runs pretty low anyway. So,
How
and then
long-
above, how do you have detention ponds and things like
Yes,
that?
so, yeah, she's pointing to it, the rest of the subdivision would drain through that.
The rest of the all the rest of the subdivision would go there.
Yeah, and so, but the pond now is not gonna be the pond that you see.
Well, yeah, you said you were gonna dig it out and line it, and so that would be substantial for that fully to be built out okay.
And it doesn't just drain, I think, Matt, you can provide a little color, but it's not just our lots, this is a basin here, and so they have a lot of water coming this way as well. And so we're gonna oversize it to accommodate that as well, because we don't wanna flood out, I mean.
So those homes, I'd be worried about that home on the corner going in, those homes right there, if they're in the basin and coming down, so you're gonna plan for that.
We'll plan for all of that.
Okay.
And even like the outfall now, that existing pond, just, it creates, it's just a low water crossing, is what, you know, so we would put in a culvert under Far Road there. We put, and then it cuts the corner and immediately goes under Far Lane, so we put a culvert, put it under Far Lane to
Drain
convey that water on down the.
Sounds like, okay. I just wanna check because that's a huge concern, especially something of that
I have
size.
a question. When you take a field that is covered with grass and you put houses in there and streets, like in the cul-de-sacs, and then running down a bluff, that's gonna be a lot of impetus. Force coming down those hills from a centralized area. Plus, it's going into a stream. Have you talked to U.S. Fish and Wildlife?
No, not, we haven't at this time, we have done a jurisdictional wetland.
We have, yeah, and so we're not impacting any wetlands, like, when you do a JV, like, when you do a jurisdictional determination, it's basically like, are you building in any jurisdictional wetlands, which we're not. But like Matt said earlier, we'll also have to do a no rise, so we'll have to, it's not just the Corps, it's also FEMA. So we'll have to prove to FEMA that we're not creating a rise situation in the creek, which is another reason that we're leaving, we're leaving all of this here. We're not coming out and grading all this, out, so that these trees can absorb some of that runoff, and prevent it from, but, and again, these are the larger lots too, and we left a tree conservation, so even though this is part of the lot, they can't come in and tear down the trees. And so it's basically kind of creating a buffer as well, I think. And we're also not, these street sections, I mean, Matt, you can talk a little bit about that, but there's not gonna be as much, impervious surface back here as there is up here, because these street sections are a little different.
That's right. So we proposed and worked with staff and the city engineer on having bar ditches, vegetated swells in that section, and Mary's exactly right, like the impervious area of that area of the development will be much less than the rest, just given the street section, given the lot size, or the house size relative to the lot size, the green space that we're leaving. We're gonna take a lot of measures, to do it sustainably.
I was just concerned about the runoff going down into the creek and damaging the wildlife in the creek and stuff. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you. And is your other, want to speak?
So, I mean, if y'all have any other questions, we also have, let's say, some of the applicants for a couple of the other rezonings, the other two that are on the, Pleasant Grove and 112 intersections. I mean, again, at this point, it's just a rezoning, we don't have, planning design or anything like that. But if you have some, specific to the rezoning questions. No.
Want to go over that?
Yes, so, looking at the comprehensive zoning map, I'm gonna put a memo in your staff report. We've been working in conjunction with regional planning, the planning commission, trying to get the map revised and do a very holistic revision to it, since we knew that we had the properties that were annexed in, and we knew we had some other issues within existing subdivisions. So, we have maps posted at City Hall, they're on the website. We've got them online for people to look at, if you have questions, about anything on the map, we'd be glad to, go over it, try and answer it. But we tried real hard to, get things zoned as appropriately as possible for, what the use was and lot size at the end of the day. With the properties that were brought in from Rogers up on that Pleasant Grove intersection, for example, there is, Mogus Academy? Yes. Like that one, for instance, this other proposed rezoning on the intersection, we're looking at it being a C2. It's, our general highway commercial. Well, Mobius, even though it's, very close to that intersection, but it also butts up to the, existing subdivisions and the residential, and agricultural kind of uses. We've, designated this as C3, which is the neighborhood commercial, which the use of a, childcare kind of, after-school care facility fits in that use. So that's kind of, how we looked at these going forward, at least in those areas. The school that's up there, we left it as agricultural. Schools are allowed to be in any zoning designation. That was one that there was kind of some back and forth, like some people, some places, cities will, zone them commercial, some places will have them be zoned whatever the closest adjacent zoning is, like residential. In this instance, even at this point, I don't see any reason that it can't say ag, and that's just kind of the way we went with it anyways. So, but if y'all have, any, as you review it, if you have any questions in the coming, couple of weeks or whatever, definitely feel free to, reach out, shoot me an email, give me a call, whatever. I'm glad to go over with it.
Did Bill have a preference on how that school was zoned, or?
I mean, I did not talk to Bentonville Schools as far as what the zoning was.
Was it zoned agriculture, I guess, before, was that kind of your question? Or do you know?
I believe it was because I had pulled all of those. So, I mean, it's Bentonville Schools, Rogers, it was Rogers zoning.
Right.
And so whenever I started doing this research, I had pulled Rogers' comprehensive zoning map And I took what they were currently zoned and tried to do our closest compatible zoning category. So, that was why I left it ag to begin with, and then we kinda had those other discussions, like with regional planning, Stephanie and, Tim Conklin at Region, and, you know, with the planning commissions, like, well, some places do this, some places do that. We just, at this point, have left it as ag. If they want to come back through and, you know, request to rezone it, or, you know, build more, or do something else, then we might, look at revising it again.
Anything else? Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Okay.
Can you, explain why that it is under declaring an emergency or for any other purposes in the ordinance? Or do we just have to do that? Cause I know like,
On.
what,
First take effect immediately.
we need to take effect immediately?
Yeah.
That's the emergency clause. Yeah.
Okay, well, I just know with the scissor tail swap.
It looks weird when it's in the bill. It always looks weird, cause it's like, wait, is this an emergency? It doesn't mean emergency in the sense that you and I would use it. It just means that.
Well, that's why I wanted
like a time
clarification on
zone.
record,
Yeah.
that, let's go ahead.
It's like a
planning
time is
and
of the
everything's
essence
been done.
clause, if you've heard that, like time is of the essence clause. That's essentially.
You know, I mean, it makes sense, but I just wanted to put that
Yeah.
out there,
Yeah.
since before, people thought there were secrets.
Yeah, they're not secrets.
This makes, I don't mean to be nitpicky, but was there a public hearing today
No, what are you looking at?
on the bill, 910? Public hearing was.
That may be a
Typo.
typo on my
I
part.
understand, I just need to point
There
it out.
was a public hearing the other night at the planning meeting, but it's not today.
That's today.
Okay.
That's why I'm
Yeah,
asking.
that was me, yes, that was.
So what date was that?
The third, yes, sorry,
The third?
the third, yeah.
The third?
The public hearing was held on 9/3, at the 9/3 planning commission, with no comments being given. The planning commission voted at the 9/3 meeting, to
Right.
recommend approval.
Thank you.
Anything else? Next item is the tax rate resolution. Every year we have to do a tax rate resolution for what taxes will be collected next year based on this year's values. And that I have not recommended an increase because I expect the county's gonna make it go down anyway. They've said that the values of the property have gone up 60-something%. And by state law, you can't collect more than 10% additional. And when they do that, ours usually goes 6. And, ours has been increasing each year already, so I'm not recommending an increase.
So
It will increase without us raising it.
yeah, I understand that. So the rate, if I'm right, it's 5 mils is the max, isn't it?
5 mils is the max without vote.
Yeah, and, I mean, I was doing some research on this, and I'm looking through, you know, most of the other cities in Benton County do get pretty close to 5 mils, and.
Some of them go over with.
Yeah, some of who voted to go over, and you know, nobody likes taxes. I also live in Cave Springs and pay property taxes. Nobody wants to pay more in property tax. But in the year that I've served on Cave Springs City Council, I feel like I've run into repeatedly, whether perception or reality, of a budgetary issue where you know, we're having to sell bricks to appease members of the council, some members of the council, maybe correctly. We're having to sell bricks to get the community building open. You know, I look at that and I look at the fact that we've got the lowest property tax in the area, and I don't know, the math just doesn't math to me. You know, I mean, we desperately need an IT guy. We have chief coming up here every time. We need a new sound system. You know, we've talked about this, and some of these things, you know, SOPs that we talk about month after month after month are things that we should pay a consultant to come in and do. We should have an auditor come in and look over these financials. You know, to me, we have an issue where we, you know, I filed for re-election. I'm running for re-election. You know, this is probably my last 2 years in this. And what I will say is, if I have one goal in the next 2 years, it is going to be to modernize the way that the Cave Springs city government runs. And I just don't know that we can advance the city and continue to move the city forward, constantly on the cheap. I think that we have to be willing to make some investments. You know, I'm one of the people that's blessed enough to live in Cave Springs because in part, my life has been relatively good. You know, I've been lucky or fortunate or blessed, right? And I've worked hard and I get to live in a nice house in Cave Springs like most of the rest of us do. I'm okay paying my fair share in taxes so that we can, you know, I'm glad we are finally doing our community building, but you know, it's painful to see a city that is trying to grow the way I think Cave Springs can be, the way I see Cave Springs in 10 years as a preeminent community in Northwest Arkansas, you know, where we're having meetings in the American Legion, where, you know, this is where my family had family gatherings because we were poor when I was a kid, you know, because my grandpa was a Legionnaire, and we're here with a sound system that doesn't hardly work, having chief have to run, you know, after working a full-time job as a law enforcement officer, trying to do IT, you know, I mean, it's just the proof is in the pudding across the board to me, you know, with the city council, these jobs, these positions are essentially volunteer. They pay so low, we can't get a single person in the entire city of Cave Springs to throw their hat in the ring to run. You know, if I can do one thing in the next 2 years, I will make serving in Cave Springs city government desirable enough to where it can compel a single competent person in our community to want to do it. And I think that that's gonna take some real changes. And so I'm just gonna say, nobody likes raising taxes. Everybody wants to be the politician that can say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna get rid of your taxes and we're gonna build a wall with Mexico or whatever, or we're gonna pay for college or whatever it is, whatever which side. Everybody has promises, nobody wants to, you know, everybody says they're not gonna have to pay for it with taxes. We have to pay for it if we want Cave Springs to grow, in my opinion. I'm not gonna vote for a mill rate that I see as being almost half the millage rate of every other city around here. I just, unless somebody much smarter than me giving me a really compelling economic reason why Cave Springs has some magic mojo that we can make it work, then I'm gonna be inclined to trust my instincts and what I've seen over the past year and say, we need some grease in this. I don't know anything about engines, I don't know what this is, I don't know if that makes any sense, but I think you get the metaphor of this.
So what would you suggest?
I would suggest moving our property tax rate closer to that of the surrounding area. I mean, I just did the math on what I pay in property taxes a year, you know, and I mean, like I said, nobody likes the idea of paying a couple $100 extra in property taxes a year. Nobody likes it, you know? But I think it's the politics of unreality to constantly think, you know, we can have it both ways. I don't know. I just think we have to choose what we're trying to do as city government. But that's just my opinion.
Well, that brings up the next issue to me, is as long as these two don't reconcile, I am not voting to approve either one. I am not. When I had a trainee with the IRS, the first trainee I had, I forgot exactly what happened, but I told him, looked him in the eye, and I said, we have to work together. But that doesn't mean we have to be friends. And I think that's the situation we have here. And it needs to be addressed somehow, some way, where the people involved in these can get together and get these worked out. And until I can go to a meeting and the mayor says, these reconcile, I'm not voting to on either one. I will not. That's me.
I think that's fair, Mike.
Because it's been going on for too long now.
And I'll just kind of reaffirm what I'm saying is just, I just think that the best thing that the city of Cave Springs can do is to, on some of these issues, to bring in independent third-party supervision. Yeah, it's an expense, but it is, whenever you start getting months out and you're building on top of previous irreconciled, it just gets harder and harder to unwind. And I actually have this personal experience in one of my companies. There's one of the branches of my company in Jonesboro when we first bought it. It took us a year to unravel everything that had gone on just in the previous 2 years there. And it's just, we can do it now, and this is the way I felt about the community building. I feel about this so much, is I feel like we actually have we are stewards of this town. We have some responsibility to future generations who will live in this town. And yeah, we could kick the ball down the road further and further, it's just gonna be a bigger expense and a bigger mess. And
the community.
I don't think that, I think it's fair, you think that, Mike, but I think having a historic piece of property restored and valuable instead of trash on the highway. Yeah, and we did all, yes, and we did that, and
Yeah,
you're
we
right.
did.
And so, I mean, and that project probably cost twice as much as if we'd done it 2 years before, and so, you know, I just think, I've said it over and over and over, and I feel like I say it at every meeting, you know, hey, we need an IT guy, hey, we need, you know, these are small expenses, but, you know, I'm tired of getting texted all, you know, through the meeting the whole time, like, hey, I can't hear, you know what I mean? That's my main contact with Scissor Tail residents now is, you know, let me know that, besides Mr. Reed, which I love Reed, I think he's here. But it's getting texted all the time, is, hey, I can't hear the meeting, you know? It's embarrassing, guys. I mean, we have, this is the city with the highest median income, highest median home value in the state. And, you know, I think I've heard you before, Randy, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, I could be wrong. I think I've heard you at least intimate that, you know, this lower property tax rate may be part of the reason that people want to move out here. And, you know, I don't necessarily see that. I think people want to live in a desirable community because of its proximity and the amenities that it offers and the ability to have some land and a beautiful home and all the things that Cave Springs offers. But I also hear the frustration from these same citizens, and they're not frustrated because they're saying, boy, I sure wish my property tax was even lower. You know, they're complaining about potholes, and they're complaining about the fact that they can't even hear the meeting, or that, you know, I mean, there are these little things that's like I just said, we gotta choose, you know, what we're doing, what our image is, and who we wanna project ourselves to as in the rest of Northwest Arkansas. And if we're supposed to be the preeminent community to move into, I just think we have to make decisions on how we approach that and how we fund it. And, you know, that's my opinion, and I agree with Mike on reconciling this. I think we desperately need independent third-party supervision on some of these things. I think finance is a key point. I don't think that you're dishonest, Mayor Howlett. I think you're very honest.
I don't think either one are
Yeah. I don't think anybody's being dishonest. I think that I've said this a million times, I think you're trying to do too much. I think that too much has been balanced on the one person in the executive branch of the city, and it's just, it worked when Tekla Wallace was mayor of a city with 1,000, you know, people, mostly agricultural, right? We are in a different phase, and we're headed towards a different phase. And I guess, you know, Mayor Howlett, I want you to think about, you're not gonna be mayor forever, you're gonna eventually hand that over to somebody else. You know, we want that office to be sustainable, we want the way our city government is run to be sustainable. And,
I guess I have a question, is
Yeah.
just how much is enough? Because when I started just 6 years ago,
Mhm.
our state income tax, sales tax. Our state sales tax revenue month to month was coming in between the county and the state together at just a little over $60,000. I mean, the county and the city together. And we, through growth, through new businesses, which they're talking about new businesses as well. Today, in just 6 years, we've gone from a 60-something thousand a month to 210 to 220,000 a month. And I mean, we're almost 4 times what we were just 6 years ago.
But are the needs of the city 4 times that? I mean, are we, and here's my question, Mayor, is it's, I don't find it to be a very compelling, like, you know, boys like, well, exactly how much is it, you know, if every other city in this area is maxing out their millage rate.
They're not.
And they're, but many of
Rogers
them
is
are.
3.5.
Many of them are, and most of the small towns are, and like I said, many of you voted to prison, and they are still struggling to fund things. And we are, you know, I just think if it was all rainbows and it was out there, I wouldn't be saying anything. It's just, you know, like I said, I live on a road that, you know, they finally came and hit with some tar, but you know.
And
it's-
they're doing
and it's always they're doing more, and we'll get that done, and we'll do this, and it's just, yeah, you know, I see it as as kind of a concession to politics of unreality that we just, you say how much is enough, well, clearly not 2.64 mils. If we're struggling to get things fair.
I think it is, okay, you've talked
I mean, that's
about
fair.
it, and I'm
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
talk, let me talk a little
Yeah,
bit.
go ahead.
You
I
talked
didn't mean to
about-
talk
So
through
I'm
it.
proud of Cave Springs for
Yes.
having the lowest tax rate, and I'm gonna keep it that way. When I talk to my neighbors who have plenty of money, they can pay more taxes, they're happy
Yeah,
that we're keeping costs down.
that's.
Because you know what, you give government more money and they'll just waste it, and we don't wanna go there. So I'm against you on that, I'm way against you.
That's fair.
Dead red,
We-
as red as this shirt,
Yeah.
I am dead red against you.
Which, and we.
In every example you said, let me talk, you've just got done 15 minutes of talking.
It wasn't. doing
Talk,
this, but-
talk, my ears off, okay? Every example you said, I could give you a counter example. You wanna talk bricks, why we're selling bricks? It's not because we're running a deficit and we're poor and we can't afford it. It's because we've got people on here who don't like to spend money, and that's good, and I don't like to spend money either. Now, I'm not as far to that extent as they are, I'm like, I don't see the need we can pay for it, we can afford it. I voted for the community center, I'm for investing money, but I am not for raising taxes, I am dead red against that. So, and I'm tired of hearing, I guess we can vote on it, but I'm not gonna sit here all night listening to you talk about it. I'm not gonna sit here all night listening to you talk about, I have a hard stop at 7:45, and can we talk about something else?
We can leave, I mean, we can, Mark, you're not adding anything, we get your into that.
You have not added anything either,
I
all right?
actually did.
And I'm tired of listening to you talk about it.
Let's agree
Okay,
to
you're-
disagree.
yeah,
that's fine.
Let's agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Let's,
Can I make a comment?
You got your vote.
just a second, he's been asking, he's at his
Oh,
hand
I'm
raised.
sorry, I'm scared.
That's all right, no problem. I think there's two issues that we discussed. One is taxes and how we put it against stabilization. The other issue is really that, do we have enough money to hire an IT guy? Do we have money, do we have enough money?
Do you have enough work to
Yes,
do to
we
hire
do
an IT
have.
guy?
If we are not doing it, part of
Actual
it is,
part-time, yeah.
part of it is that I don't know why we have it. Honestly, that's a question, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
We have a
answered.
full-time IT service.
No, not
No, no,
seven,
no, no.
we have issue here with the Facebook, and honestly, I don't wanna get into one-on-one, I just wanna make sure that we make a reasonable decision on fixing this. This has been going on for a while, we need to hire somebody to come in and take care of these, and be in charge of sound system and that kind of stuff. We have the money, we spend on other things. The other issue is the speed of getting the work done and taking action. And as far as the finance goes, I'm with Mike, I'm with everybody, I really couldn't make it. I looked at it, I couldn't reconcile those, and I can't. And I think it's time to hire an outside firm to come in and look at it and make a decision as to what the issue is. That's what everybody's,
Right.
the independent voice is that.
Go ahead.
I agree, and respectfully, fair enough, I know you probably have a reason and story behind it, but I fully agree with JJ on the fact that we need outside help for the budget. We just need it, and we do need, I think it would be a great idea to have somebody come in and run the meetings, but I'm hoping we go to the community center and find a sound system that it will kind of alleviate that. Chief has to be here anyway, sorry, right? I mean, we always have a police representative at a meeting. So, if he's good, I think we need to make his life easier for sure. And my next thing is that the bricks, I don't see that as, I see that in the residents investing in the community. I guess I look at it through a different lens, that, that people that are passionate about it, or people that might not even care about it, but hey, let's go check this out. Look, this is our family name and this is when we lived here. Or, a service member, if they could get their emblem on it of their service range. So I look at that more as, maybe it can help pay for some of the sound system. It's something, but I look at it as an opportunity for community members to contribute so that they can have their legacy present with something. That's how I do that. I am not for increasing the tax rate. I think we got a lot going on, and also with the annexation coming in and the numbers we were clearly shown, I feel that we're okay not increasing it. And if I went to my neighborhood, I feel 120% that if I said, hey, council's looking at this, what is your opinion? No, 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 I see where JJ is coming from though, and I think maybe in the next year or two, it might be a good idea, but I am proud of what we do and what we have, and the perception already is it's so expensive to live in Cave Springs. But really, when you look at it, it's not. So I don't want people's perception to become the reality. And also, yes, we have these big, expensive homes coming in, but there are also people here that can't do a tax increase.
True, yeah.
There are also people here of homes I've seen that I can clearly see they're struggling. I know we've all seen it, and I do not think it's fair, because I think they have probably lived in those houses for a long time. And I wanna look at all levels, not just some big, huge new development, or what are we gonna get from Scissortail now that they're in here, and all of these things. I really wanna look at where we were, and yes, there's growth, but there's still those people out there that cannot afford it, and you can clearly see they can't afford it. So let's not run them out.
It's true,
So that's my opinion.
it's true.
Anyone else?
I agree,
I agree.
10%. I
That's
like pay, I
curiosity.
collected taxes.
How many houses do we have in Cave Springs? Ballpark?
I don't know the answer to that question off the top of my head.
Maybe for next meeting,
I can figure it out. I mean,
approximate.
Well, we have approximately 6,000 residents.
Yeah, so they take 3.2
Well,
per house.
With the new,
With the new Scissortail?
Scissortail, we got a little over 7,000.
Seven. Okay. Well, yes, I would.
You're trying to math it.
I would divide that by 3 and just get rid of.
Maybe 2,000.
125 per year,
yes.
Give or take, okay.
And with more developments going up, Hillcrest behind me, and, where they're talking about the Evening Star and this possible one, I think we'll balance out in the
I mean, I've
next.
got 300 at least in the books right now that
Are going up?
on paper. No, not going up, on paper, not including Hillcrest.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
300 proposed potential new lots.
Wow.
Oh,
on-
okay, yeah,
on
I
paper.
was not.
Sorry, yeah.
I was not
So,
tracking.
not including Hillcrest is, actually like moving dirt.
And that's not including this one either.
Well, I wasn't counting that one.
The one is over, it's
Evening Star?
320.
Which one we got? Evening Star?
So,
The one by
so
Evening
on,
Star?
so when I say on paper, like Osage Meadows, there's this one,
The Bond?
yes, there's one opposite of Farrar Road to the north potentially.
That
There's-
one's
there's-
supposed to
there's
be
two
320
actually.
lots and then.
So there's, yes, like, just on paper, there's 300 plus
And I think
lots
with-
that I'm looking at right now.
And I think with the impact
Took it
fees and
out
everything
on
else
Red
that go
Rock, too.
along with that, I think we're gonna be just fine if we stay the same. But however, I do agree 120% with JJ on the fact that we need outside help, we need an accountant to come in, sit down and figure things out. And that is not a personal attack, so please don't take it as such.
Well, are we through with the tax one now?
I was gonna say that as far as the tax goes, it doesn't matter. I really think the issue is not, do we have enough money or not? I think the city has plenty of money as we went through that whole process of land swap the money. And Mr. Mayor, we went through it. If the sound system is not fixed, it's not because the city doesn't have enough money to fix the sound system.
No, it's,
It's because they haven't done our job to fix it. I'm saying we, meaning council and Mr. Mayor, even though the issue stays with Mr. Mayor, I mean, that with him, I'm looking at it as that. But we really need to look at it and see what is the cause of it. We can't just point figure a symptom. The symptom is that this is not fixed, so really the cause of it is not throwing more money at these, except hiring somebody that's qualified for the sound system. And we have talked about a year and a half, 2 years now, that was something that I got really out of shape at one time over it. And I think that's time to really get somebody to put a sound system in. It might cost us $10,000, $8,000, that it would be fixed, but folks that are relying on listening to us there, they can't hear us. And how many times should they say that? That's not fair to them. And one other thing with the tax that we gotta consider is those subdivisions that they were in City of Cave Springs, that they come as part of district improvement, they already have an extra tax on them because they were, when improvement district was created, that cost of $6 million or $7 million was cost of the sewer system for that was divided between all the lots, and they were for so many years should pay, and it was about 300 to 400 depending on how big the lot was.
It's a flat 700
So
lot
now
per
it's
year.
700, so for a year, so that's, you can add that to the tax that you already, somebody's paying, then if we, you're really looking at how much do we wanna. At this point, I don't think the city is in a shape that needs additional tax to be added to it. I think we just need to manage the money better and manage the departments better, that's what my point is.
Dicey, maybe moving forward, since you mentioned that, when is the community building gonna be done, and can we get some hard bids for the sound system? Am I for spending more money on that building? No, but I look at it like this, our constituents at home can hear us. I'm happy about maybe throwing money at that, but I also want people to be able to hear at home. So I don't think it's, in my opinion, reasonable to upgrade anything here, because, well, we're here.
Sure.
And it would be, do the city a disservice to try to upgrade this when we're going to be moving to that. So, I don't know, what's the council think about that?
I think that when I said we need to, it might, I don't know how long it takes to hire somebody to look at the sound system, so what it's gonna take. Well, it's been a year and a half, we haven't got even a bid on it, so we might still start at some point, maybe we'll be in a different, be in a community building by that time, but at least we need to start thinking about hiring somebody. Who is it gonna be? Have we gone through the process of deciding what company we're gonna hire, and then I don't know how long before the community building is gonna be ready.
They're estimating mid to late October.
Okay, well, so we're pretty close. We can, by the
It's
time we
getting
get
close.
somebody hired and decided, then they can work on that other building.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Well, I don't see, and maybe I'm wrong, why there's any reason a company or two can't go in there with the contractor building and look at that building, so when we have those keys, we hit the ground running.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think that we need, that's what you're saying, I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
Yeah, that's-
There's no reason to wait. It would be nice, a nice update for your next meeting would be, I called 3 different people, they're coming these dates to look at the building, and they will have bids by the next work session, so we can discuss it. In an ideal world, that is what I would really like to see, and I don't see why that wouldn't be possible, because sound companies, I wouldn't think, are slammed like construction and contractors and
And
stuff.
that's what I was saying, that we need to get the ball going on.
Project things on the community.
As
We're
far-
actually gonna have a monitor.
And as far as the audit goes on the financial, I'm all for it if we're gonna hire an independent audit to
I
look
think,
at.
sorry,
Yeah, sure, go
the
ahead.
problem is, I think we need to get it fixed now, as
Yeah.
opposed to like an audit.
Yeah.
And I don't know, if the fastest thing might form some sort of finance committee, maybe next meeting, we can do that more quickly.
We have made headway.
Yeah.
The list I gave y'all, I had given her earlier, and she had done a significant number of the changes. There are just a few now that I have concerns with. Some of her comments, I would agree, we have a different opinion, but her comments are fine and I can live with those. And there's a couple of things that I think are significant that we need to change. But I think we're close.
I guess my sort of, and my, I don't know, IRS part of it is, I look at a balance sheet and it looks funny to me, I can't believe in any other. So when I look at a balance sheet, any of the other numbers, so when I look at negative amounts in the liability, that's an asset, so why is that there? Once the balance sheet's right, and your profit and loss statement work out, so we can sort of figure those numbers out, then I can begin to feel a lot better about it.
Well, something that you may not have been aware of when you got started, we had saved for certain projects.
Yeah.
This year, we have certain departments that we were built in the fact that we were gonna exceed this year what we brought in this year, and we're gonna be working on revenue that we had saved from previous years.
Yeah, that's
And-
not anything to do with it.
No, I understand. And some of the things we do are annual in one payment, some things are monthly, and there are other things in between. And there's our tax revenue is weird. Our property taxes usually come in twice a year. Next month will be a big tax month. April's the biggest. Used to, it was the other way around. Everyone waited to pay their taxes the last day. Now there's a group that does that, but a bigger group that just pays them the day they get their, invoice. But we need to get this put to bed, and there's a couple of things that I think that we need to address. And then the rest of it, I think we can live with. And then I've also, this is not something you had ever seen before, because I did something a little different with the finances and as compared to the budget. And I took our current numbers and I took the current budgeted amounts. Our ordinance, as with most cities, states that if the department can shift funds within the department and you're not changing the budget for that department, that's an adjustment. When you have to add funds to the department, it's an amendment. And I went through with every department head. I sat down with both chiefs. I sat down with David, and we went through every department, and there's no reason to do a mid-year adjustment. There's one item that we need to bring a resolution back for. And last month, when we did the 3 police officers, we were unable to, we inadvertently missed the fact that they're gonna need insurance.
I don't think you're gonna have a resolution for that though, Mayor.
No, you don't?
I don't, because by the time you look at your time frame, they don't get insurance for 60 days after hire date anyway. 60
Okay, you're
calen-
right on that.
60 calendar days, so even if they start like October 2nd, we can't start till November 1st, November.
Unless they
December.
come from another municipal league city.
Right, but,
We're not having that yet.
right,
Okay.
yeah, I mean,
Got that.
I think with what you guys got in the salaries because you've planned it for the salaries, I think you're gonna be okay where you don't have to bring that back to a resolution to the council
Okay,
for the health.
then I would.
6 we want to worry about 6.
Yeah, the number 6, we can mark off the list.
Yeah, I think you'll be okay.
Sorry, were you done?
Yeah, for now.
9.
It's my personal opinion, I don't like the fact that you are moving money within the department as you see fit to whatever. I think that needs to lie with department heads.
And it did. I met with all of them.
But when you meet with them, I would like to amend actually our existing ordinance that before you, because everybody is human and makes mistakes, this is not an attack on you, don't take it that way. I think before you bring a budget to the council, that you take it to each department head and have them look at it to make sure, chief, are you good with this chief, that chief? And I think that their line items need to stay as such and not move them.
Well, if you don't mind me interrupting real quick.
Perfect.
I know he called me down there, I brought down the budget, he had the budget, and we sat down there and we started looking at each slide. He didn't make any move unless he okayed it with me, with money from year to year.
Yeah.
He did it.
With them there, it was on the screen.
So it's not like he moved it and then came to me
Well,
and
that's
said, what do
fine.
you think of this?
That's
And
fine,
an
but
exchange.
I think still before he brings it to the council, he needs to go to you. But like, for example,
did.
but no, like, for example, the people on the payroll, if you would have gone to you, you would have said, hey, Mr. Mayor, where's our new hires on here?
I
You
used
never would
this
have done
list. It was this list that didn't have the,
Yeah,
insurance
fine.
on
my
Not
fault.
not the insurance, but still, I'm not gonna, anybody else understand where I'm going with this? That, I think that before it comes to council, I think it needs another look by the department heads.
Chief, the fire chief had a printed copy of it that he left with. It didn't change after that.
I got what when we went over it last week, I had.
Okay, so but that wasn't the case before.
Well, this time I went.
But I think that's great. I'm glad you did it, but I think it needs to be in writing. I think whatever mayor, if you're here on next election or somebody else, I think our ordinance needs to be amended, that each department head, before the budget comes to the council, needs to look at it. And that way, there's never a question, because it's,
Well, I don't think that I don't think you understand that that's what's been happening. I have never changed the budget after they've signed off on it.
do you use a different system though? Like you do each department does a different system. You put it in your budget, but his numbers are done in a different system, maybe than yours or something.
We're both using Excel. He brings this down there, we sit down, we plug it in on the screen with him there, and I never readdress it unless unless something comes up and it don't work, and he's right back in there with me when we do change it.
But I just remember when I pointed out the 3 errors, and I said, do you take it to each department head? And your answer was no.
Not after it's printed, because he sat right there with me while we made it. I don't adjust his page without him there.
Okay, maybe I misunderstood them, but I still think it should be in writing. Would not, I think.
Okay, that's okay. Budget, that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm serious, I mean, why not? I mean, I'm not even sad, I mean, it sounds like they're following pretty good practice.
Well, that's fine.
Maybe there was a miscommunication.
Maybe there was, and I
Do it
didn't
the first-
understand.
Or
But
the
if you-
first time, they might not have, I don't know if I did it.
More recently, it's been better.
Okay.
Yeah, the first pass, I
Yes.
think it was.
Okay,
he
so
called me
it's been
down-
ironed out,
Yeah,
but,
when he called me down, that is something that we not really went that far with it before, but this time it was.
so how do we make it stick? Might-
We're committed to it now. I mean, I've always asked for their input. He usually takes a copy of last year's budget and he brings me back a budget he's put together like last year's, and I enter his numbers. If I vary from it, he's down there with me. I don't vary from the department heads
Okay.
without their knowledge, never have.
I was looking you and forward, like something in writing that would be good to do, but yeah, clearly it's worked itself out, and if there's a new mayor, or if it's in, it's good. Never mind then.
Jeremy, may I ask you a question?
Sure.
On the budget, what was your question? I couldn't get it good.
So like,
The balance sheet.
I have balance sheet questions more than
Uh-huh.
budget questions, cause I'm used to seeing, like, if I give something, I get
Yeah, balance,
reconciliation,
balance.
amortization schedule, so then I can know, like, I'm just sort of firing in the dark with this thing.
So, Mr. Mayor, you said there's only a couple of things that needs to be adjusted since now we're here. What are those 2 things?
There's 3 or 4, but it's not many. I mean, we started out with 78, and now we're down to 3 or
I know,
4.
but those 3, 4 are something, because Kemi's here to, I'm
yeah.
gonna get her input too. so
One
maybe
of
we
the
can have-
things-
I have no idea what they are
Yeah.
at all.
And I didn't know what her budget looked like until it came out to everyone 2 or 3 days ago. So, I mean, but ultimately, I went through and I marked off and checked, and the PC on pre-tax bill, if you're doing away with the outgoing part of the pass-through, I can do away with the ingoing part, that's fine. It's a pass-through that we really don't handle much anyway. And so that's off of there. I didn't see anything about the pool fence in yours, and if it's coming in and then going back out, it needs to show where it came in. And it may be in there under, but I didn't see it.
Pool fence is under administrative, under revenue.
Okay, I didn't see it on the copy I've got,
Yeah.
but that's okay.
It's there, it's under revenue.
And that's good then, we're there.
Let's get it addressed in 2 weeks.
Well, it won't
If there's
take
not very
very-
many, I'd like to get it addressed now,
Yeah,
so we
it
can
won't
get it
take
fixed,
long.
and
All
it's
right.
all out, and it's aired out, and it's done.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
want done with this.
Yeah, I do too. I do have a question about the workforce services. They are required to be paid when someone's collected.
That's not true, because
I've never seen it on there.
because let's say hypothetically, I leave the city and I'm an employee. I can file unemployment on the city, even if I don't work here. They can go back to like.
After they went somewhere else, they
Correct.
could have done something like that.
That's correct, and that's
Okay.
why we still have to
Good
continue to pay,
explanation.
we still have to pay unemployment services, even though employees do not work for the city.
That's a good explanation, I'm good with that. The, couple of things that I do have a concern about, the council requested several years ago, and again, a couple of years ago, was we got more projects, that we itemized the projects so we could track them, and so that we could be sure we're, you know, that we're not extremely over budget on one,
Correct.
or on two.
And you're,
When you lump them together as annual
you're
projects,
specifically speaking of the street department,
street department.
and they're
and
already
this-
broke out, so if you'll look at that on the street department expenses, they're all broke out, and they're highlighted in green.
What page are you on?
I am on page 1 of 2 in the street fund statement of revenue and expenditures. And they're all broke out, it says 2019 RDOT overlay, 2024 Sands Street Project, 2024 Sands Wallace, Seals Lane, and Midway Bright and Pace.
I didn't see where you had put them in yours.
They're all broke out.
Okay. Okay, I saw that. I thought that was a copy of mine and you were marking them off.
No, they're all in
Okay.
there.
As long as they're there, I'm good with that. We need to figure out, and I know that's gonna be an effort, because you gotta click on each one. We need to figure out how much has been spent
I
on
already
each.
did, it's on there already.
Okay. I can't, just like that light blue that I
Yeah.
did on the PDF and then sent it to you and it came out navy blue and you couldn't read it.
The only one that we're
I can't
over
read through that green.
is the Fields Lane project, we're over, and that's 180%. And I think we're waiting on a reimbursement, are we not, for that,
I'm not sure. I'll have to look
on
into
Fields
that.
Lane?
But, it sounds like some of what my concerns are addressed and I was misreading them. The other thing is, and I know in one you said it's payroll pass-through and now you've said it's,
Yeah, it's not a payroll pass-through.
it's not, but the problem is that it's still there,
It is, and it will be there.
but it shouldn't. There is a budgeted spot in streets for,
Not in general. That's all, what you're looking at says general
Okay.
street, general water, general sewer. And those are all from your payroll that passes through the general fund in that statement of financial interest. That's what you're looking at. But when it says, I don't think
when
it
it
says,
said unallocated,
When it-
it's in the wrong spot.
when it says, it's not, nothing is unallocated.
No, I know you fixed that.
I did, and if you look at it, even on the water and sewer, on some of it, it says there's like $26.47 in water and $48 in the street.
And it shows that it was for equipment purchase.
It
and we-
is equipment purchases. What's happened is the general fund paid for cell phone cases for those departments, and then we got reimbursed. So they had to go, the general paid, but they paid for the water, the sewer, and the street. So it had to go to the general, to the street, water, and sewer account, then it was reimbursed by those departments.
Okay.
So that's why it shows
Well, I
other
could-
expense.
I could see that as being the ones in parentheses, but that one was still positive, looked
Yeah.
like.
Yep.
And I guess my only other question then, because it sounds like we're almost there, is the, question about the medical evaluations for the, I know the police and fire do those, but you've got them in planning and in administrative.
Correct, because one of them was for our planning employee that we just hired.
Okay,
That was what the planning is for. That was their background check. And, what was the other one?
Oh, so you're doing it by background, as
Well,
background?
it's the medical, it's their drug screening,
Okay.
is what that is.
And I don't mind
So that's
if I
what
know
that is
that's where it's gonna be,
Yeah.
that I can see that appropriation in the past. Every manager that had been in Public Works always saw it as a part of the protection of their group, so they always did it as protective, what is it? Protective material or something like that.
No, our protective material, that line item was for COVID stuff is what that was for.
Well,
And you
and-
told me when we first did the budget, you wanted to go ahead and keep that $200 and some in the protective line
That
item.
was in general, but in the water and sewer, it's for, they use that for their shots, for their, it's for their immunization. They've used that for boots and things, or hip waders, because they're in
We've
the
never used
sewer.
that for that,
There's,
okay.
that line item in sewer has a lot bigger number on it. And it's been there longer than COVID.
Well, I don't do water and sewer, so we were talking about planning, and that's where,
Right.
that's where that line item is from. Was the
Okay,
background
well,
check and.
I can, that's minor, that
Okay.
can be fixed as
Okay.
long as we're on the same page.
Okay,
This is all that, I'm okay with it now.
So we're
so
good?
I would like to ask the council also to approve a resolution to transfer that $200 and some thousand. It's been approved by resolution, but I would like to have a paper trail for audit purposes where the council approved the $880,000 for the community building.
I have another question there.
Yeah,
We've got, the very next one was 861, which is the actual contract, and it's by resolution. It's just like the other two resolutions that you accepted the numbers on.
well, I accepted the numbers on the other two because I had a resolution on it, but we're looking at transferring $200 and some thousand.
We have
The
a
general.
resolution on the contract for 861,000.
Yeah,
But,
It's 22402 is, or 202402, and it's a contract accepting, it's a resolution accepting the contract for 861,000 for the
Correct.
construction of the
but
building.
that's a construction for the community building, but I want a resolution from the council saying it's okay for me to transfer that $200 and some thousand from the general fund to the community building fund.
Well, I just didn't see, that's the
I
only
think-
place it can come from.
I understand, I get it,
But
and I
she has a
agree
paper
with you.
trail. And for audit purposes, if that's what we need, let's
I
just
mean,
do it.
it's just simple paperwork, I understand, yes, the council's approved.
I don't have a
I
problem
don't have a
with that.
problem with that either.
No.
And we can put it together, I just didn't see the need for it. It didn't
No, it's-
say in the other two from general fund.
I think
But I have a resolution saying that I needed to take the money from this to this. It did say that. And it
She's asking if
specifically
this money
gave
was
me
here before the
an
general
amount
fund.
to transfer.
Yeah, that's.
I
That's
don't mind
fine.
doing
That's
it as
fine.
long
That-
as we just
That was
get
one
it
of my
wrapped up.
questions. I did in the financials ask to add a couple budget line items in there. So
And
that
they're
way-
in mine
So
as
then that
well.
way, it just makes it easier for clarification. Did you understand the vehicle payments on the fire department? That was that $21,000
Yeah,
check that we
and
transferred?
just so that you understand, they understand what that issue was. I knew that you don't make that whole payment, but we have had years that Act 833 didn't pay the whole thing. And
Because we're kind of in a limbo sometimes with Act 833, waiting for the Department of Finance to send us the check. So we may not have the money in the account, so the general fund has to pick up the payment. So then when we actually do get the grant money from Act 833, then the general fund, or Act 833 reimburses back the general fund for the payment. And that's why that $21,000 is there for the fire and I just actually wrote that check back from Act 833.
and I found it today, so you don't have to write
Yeah,
another one.
thank you.
But, the Act 833, the reason that I put the, payments in there and had it as a transfer is because you can come in under budget. And I knew in the past that there were times that Act 833 did not cover the full payment, and we may have paid ourselves back part of it, but not all of it.
Yep.
And so I just wanted to have a paper trail, you might say,
Yeah.
so that if you, when you made those transfers, if you made it into that area and then not all of it came back, you had the line in the place to put it. That's what that was there for. It didn't mean you had to transfer the full 24,100.
Well, I needed to anyway, cause I mean, I like to have it clean and done by the end of the year, so then that way, the next year rolls over, everything starts fresh again, and we're back to where we need to be on a balance. And Gary knows how much money he has going forward from the beginning of the year, so.
Well, I mean, this is what I wanted to do
That's
2
good.
months ago, and this has it wrapped up. We used to do this in your office every year, and I would spend 30 minutes in there, and you'd correct me on a couple of things, I would point out a couple of things, and 2 days later, Centerpoint helped where they needed to, and you had the rest done.
So without going into a bunch of detail, I think my attorney spoke to Justin and asked for a meeting to have this done, and it has never been done. So
Okay,
we,
well, I had not
my
got
attorney
that yet.
requested that, and so,
That sounds operational.
So I have a question for both of them. So we're good now?
I'm good
that's
with this.
his budget, so he
Yeah.
has to be good.
Now, we may have a little, and we got a little different way of showing the stuff that was
But we have to
carryover.
approve your financials too.
My financials are spot on.
That's what we just did.
Okay.
The only thing that I have different where you had, from last year, when I talked to the auditor, he had said put, reserve revenue carryover.
Mhm.
So that's the way I worded it, and I put it at the bottom so I could, once I saw the totals, just plug the difference in.
Yes.
And mine probably don't balance exactly with yours because I looked at it as there's actually four departments within the general fund, and I did it based on their percentage of the budget.
And
So-
it may change again though, Mayor, because by the time, at the end of the year, we may not have spent as much money as we
Right.
anticipated.
And it'll be much less.
And it may be
than
much
I
less than what we thought at the beginning of the year.
Right.
But as of right now, to be able to approve an amended budget, you have to approve a.
You've gotta have the balance come out
Yes.
to zero, which this one does. now.
Correct.
And so,
Alright,
we're there.
can we move?
Okay.
Now, I'd like to also ask the council, and this is gonna be a little awkward, but I'm gonna ask anyway, without going into a ton of detail. I'm asking the council to reimburse me $3,500 for an attorney fee that I had to spend out of my own pocket for something that, my attorney said that was not approved legally, that I had to pay for. So, if you all wanna talk to the mayor about this one-on-one, you're welcome to, but I'm asking the council reimburse me for that, because it's something that I should not have had to have spent out of my own personal funds.
We would have to go into executive session
No,
about
we
that.
can't go into
No,
because it's an
executive session.
operational.
It
Okay.
is operational though, so I can talk to y'all one-on-one about it.
Perfect.
Not in a group meeting, but one-on-one. And,
And I mean, if we wanna talk about it now as an elected official, I'm okay with it, because I think was unnecessary. So,
I think it's probably best that we address it, because it's not closed yet, so I think it's probably best we address it one-on-one.
my attorney says it's closed.
Well, there was the later issue that it's not, so it's close, but
Okay.
it's not.
My side is closed.
Yeah, so I will go over it with you one-on-one if y'all would, and, that's all I got. We are there with this. Mine may have a little bit different dollar amount in some departments based on that, what I assigned the reserve compared to hers. I will be sure she had, I think I sent you a copy of this.
Yes, sir.
And, the few things that we've said, I'll try to adjust. If you'll send me a clean copy
Sure.
of yours, I'll try to adjust those areas and we'll get something that's very close for both of us.
Absolutely.
And then just send
I
that
wanna
back to
thank
her
you
when
all.
she adjusts it.
Yes,
Okay, so everybody's on the same page.
yes.
That was best, I guess, informative session. We had to get this cleared up,
Right.
so.
That's why I wanted to get it all aired out, get it over
Yep.
with, get it done with, rip
Me
the
too.
Band-Aid off, and
Thank
move
you.
on.
Thank you.
Yeah. I did too, so thank you.
Very much.
I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Oh,
Hang on a second.
wait, we got some stuff left.
What's-
Table minutes, the bottom stuff.
Yeah, those are not in here,
But, I would, Mr. Mayor, I'd ask that you go back and listen to the recording, and you'll see exactly what I was talking about because of,
Yeah, I don't know how to fix it. That's
you
the
don't know how to
problem.
fix it?
you
Well,
don't have to, if they agree, that, they're the ones that vote.
But the problem is some of
Is
them,
petty cash gonna come before us again as a resolution?
That's something that Justin was going back through his stuff and looking at, if he says yes, it'll be absolutely.
Well, it was a 3-0 vote, for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, if you go and listen to it, and then the other ones, he said is null and void because it wasn't even passed. Well, not null and void, it's still gonna be in your minutes,
right,
but since it wasn't passed, that vote really,
it just needs
Doesn't
more
matter.
clarification, because as on the recorder side of it, there are some things that you said, I as mayor vote blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I made that statement,
And now
but
some
twice I
did it.
didn't, and I said, yay, with everyone else, and I don't know that that could be signified out.
No, because you have to specify, I as mayor vote,
and that's what you did with everyone
Right.
else.
and on some you didn't.
It was awkward when I said yes with everyone else and then declared it passed. So after it was awkward, I started saying, and the mayor,
Yeah.
votes affirmative, or the mayor approves.
So if we could just go back and just re-vote as a council on those, it's okay, it's a petty
Yeah.
cash, it's not a life or break, or life or deal.
Right,
thing.
and it's, I don't mind doing that, I just.
And we can still use the same ordinance number. I mean, we
Mhm.
can use, or the resolution number, just re-vote again.
Right,
On the stop
And I'll put it in the
2
minutes.
weeks ago, we were told we were waiting on RDOT. Are we still waiting on RDOT?
we are still waiting on RDOT, and I'm making phone calls to RDOT. Our engineer called me yesterday and asked that I start, that he said, I've, gone through my list of people and I need you to reach out to yours. So tomorrow I'm calling, Stacy Birch, which is the district engineer, to tell the contract engineer to release the documents. If he doesn't respond pretty quickly, I'll go to Jared Wiley, and he's number 2 in command with all of our
There is one other thing.
Okay.
We still do not have a pole barn for the equipment to keep the
Correct.
equipment in. We need, at the next council meeting,
It's,
something brought up so we can get a pole barn built down there instead of our equipment sitting out in the open.
it's not gonna be at the next council meeting. Now that we're putting this to bed, it's going to be in next year's budget.
So we have another winter we gotta go through.
We've got another winter we gotta go through, either way we go.
Okay.
So, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
done, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm done.
So, this, rest of this stuff, and we're not gonna discuss this.
What else?
Well, you had a list, the SOPs dropped the line.
SOPs we're still working on. We've got Justin working on part of them for us.
But everything with
The-
Scissortail is done, SOP wise, Scissortail and Rogers.
They were given, as far as I know, they did expand to 2 people on each side.
You said
And
that last meeting, but I mean, is that a wrap, like this, everything?
they've
is
got a
wrapped up?
process in place. I don't know if she's got a written document yet,
Okay,
but they've got a process in place. They've met a couple of times, and they've got, an agreed on process in place.
I think, and will cities have copies of it?
Yes,
I think it'd be great if you had one in your office too, so if someone calls you, if somebody's out, you
Okay.
can direct them.
We had already voted on a pole barn and passed it several years ago
yeah, and it was inadequate.
because it wasn't tall enough.
It was more than not tall enough. The manager at that time brought something that would not work. And it was too small, it was too short, it was,
I understand that statement, you've said it before, but I'm not a brain surgeon. But if it's too short and not long enough, you make it bigger, get a bigger pole and extend that rest. I mean, my goodness, I vote we adjourn.
I got a quick question,
Well,
one more thing,
What?
please.
One more thing,
Wait, please let me know.
sounds sorry, I renege my, withdraw my motion. Go ahead.
right.
Oh, me? Oh.
Sorry.
Okay, Bridgewood, I received an email, they said you had stated that they're supposed to start on the 7th on the project, and there's been no.
I never gave anybody a date. I
Do we
told
know-
them, and the guy has gone out there and he has surveyed it, and he's, preparing to get started on it. There was some material he was going to be addressing, but he was down in the ditch last week when I went
So
by.
last week it was looked at,
Yes,
I'm gonna send an email, okay, so last week looked at the approximate start date yet?
he told me that, and it's his next priority, so it's like right now. And he told me it would take 2 to 4 weeks to complete.
2 to 4 weeks to complete, okay, perfect. And then also, they brought up, cause the water repair was there, well, there's many in Brentwood that haven't been resolved either. When will, once a leak is fixed, do we have a contractor going around to fix all of these sidewalk
and-
tear-ups? And if so, do we know when that will be?
It's usually 4 to 6 weeks after the, actual
Perfect.
repairs.
After, and then the one down in Brentwood on Rustic Creek and Shook is still tore up from July.
Right, and that's the contractor, and I've talked to Daniel about
Okay,
the
so maybe we
contractor
can
on
get it,
some things this week.
okay, and then, another thing was, one thing when I joined the council, I loved that when I had issues, you guys listened to me in the audience. Not only a public comment, but I think you asked me questions as well. I think we've grown too far, and it is really, really bothersome that we're having people hijack our meetings, and speak out of order. I think at work sessions, we shouldn't allow any comments, which we shouldn't have anyway. I think that at meetings, if they speak out of order, I would like, Mr. Mayor, I would like you to correct them and say, this is not for public comments are done. But especially before public comments, this is your time to comment and ask questions about anything on the agenda that you would like us to address, so we can take notes and ask, and then don't answer their question then, but we can, as a council, take notes to make sure we discuss that. If they have additional questions, they need to respect parliamentary procedure and email or call us individually, because this yelling out last 2 meetings by a particular individual that was very disrespectful, the one time, this time not so much, but it just really sets the tone. And we've had a meeting hijacked, I felt like before, by someone that was actually a city employee, where we talked for way too long, but it wasn't even a meeting that you should have been talking at. So I think we're growing. I really liked the small town feel of if someone had a question, we can do it, but I think we're too big for that now, in my opinion. They can email us, they can text us, they can, ask their question during public comment, but I really feel, and if it's about the agenda, everybody has seen us take notes. I mean, this is my agenda, right here, it is tore up, like, about my questions, but I really feel we need to rein it in, because if people come in here, especially new residents, and think they can just at us, it's not okay, and it's
No,
very
it's
not
not.
respectful. And Mr. Mayor, I know you're trying to be kind, but I think, in my opinion, if you would please say something, this is the time for public comments. If you see something on the agenda that you would have a question about, please ask it now, and we will address it then. If you have additional comments, please email, text, or call a council member, or follow up with me with an email or a phone call. There will be no more disruptions if they interrupt. I think give them one warning by the chief. I think you should issue it. You should say you're out of order, and I think they need to go.
You're not talking about limiting the public comments to,
No.
to
No,
the
no, no.
agenda.
No, I'm
okay.
talking about,
Just want to be sure on that.
no, I would, well, we had to with the scissor tail because of the crowd.
I
But
understand.
I'm not talking about that. I'm
No.
talking about, like right now, if Mr. Reed decided he would want to start talking.
Sorry.
But-
You know, but
I
I
understand
mean,
what she's saying.
Yeah,
I just
it's-
wanted to clarify.
yes,
that-
no, unless the
point-
council voted, like unless we had a room full like scissor tail, I would like them to speak. I don't think it should be a back and forth.
Yeah, I
Because
agree.
then it goes down a rabbit hole, and then all of a sudden everybody's,
Yep.
pinged off.
In addition to that, and what you were saying, you don't, it's not limiting, but it's making the point that we're not gonna be opening it up when you get to this, so now's your chance to talk about this.
I agree.
And I don't think we should go back, I don't think we should say, unless they say something, or like, wait, when did you bring this up? Okay, we will address it at that, unless it's a specific thing, I don't think it should be a back and forth between a council member and whoever is there. I really think we have to rein it in as a city, because the last meeting really frustrated me, and especially the demand, and then this, and that individual before was, you know, screaming at us about Rogers. And then, I mean, there's been other people too. Somebody that was sitting there and talking behind our engineer and our city attorney,
Yeah.
all of that was uncalled for, and I'm kinda over it.
I just found out this information kind of last night. Banner Fire, the one that's building gonna build the ladder truck. We're gonna do a final inventory of equipment on it next Tuesday afternoon. If we aren't gonna buy this truck, we're gonna have to get it on the agenda to get a purchase agreement signed. Well, if we don't get it signed here probably pretty quick, we're gonna lose it.
Jim, what do we end up with on interest rate for that? Do we know terms?
It's based on lines, you can't do it through a loan.
It's based on what?
Lines.
The interest rate,
Yeah, it's cities borrow through lines.
but we need to.
But we
get
can
it.
find out through Donnie.
We need to attach our franchise fees to it. That's the
Yeah,
only
no,
way
we
they're gonna
could do
secure
something
them.
like that too. We're about to, next month, he's gonna bring the franchise fee, ordinances in here, and we're about to, make a level franchise fee where, cause I mean, the gas company was 20-year-old franchise fee. And, one of the phone companies was 8 or 10 years old and the other one's 3, and those numbers are different.
But what happens if
Can we not have a resolution for that next 2 weeks?
He's not ready with it. Now, for this, we may be able to, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
As
But-
long as we can get the number from Banner, what, 1 point whatever million, and we can get the purchase, how we finance it later, that's our problem, I guess. So
It
we got-
is, and we've got a year to get there.
Yeah.
Right, and after delivery, I think you got another year for, around however that's set up. But yeah, they're gonna probably start building on it probably here in the next couple of months. So if we don't get it signed, we're gonna.
Somebody else gonna get it.
Somebody else is gonna get it, then it's, we're on a 3 or 4 year mark.
And it's a much bigger expense
Yeah,
than
and then
two.
they're going up percentage by.
What about the roof and the repair?
That'll be addressed during the council, I'll let Justin kind of address that. You guys should speak it.
And we got one more with, MC.
Yeah, so, as far as the agenda goes, are we following the agenda or not? Because I have a couple of things I wanna say, I
Sure,
don't
go
wanna
ahead.
add it on the agenda when,
They,
you know, because it wasn't on the agenda, I don't wanna be out of. One of the things, Erica, in addition to what you said, I have asked Justin, the city attorney, to go over how to conduct the meeting, not only for public, but for us also, to make sure we're all on the same page. And I have asked Mr. Mayor to do that, and very respectfully, I tell you, Mr. Mayor, you're not conducting the meeting effectively. There are times that you need to even cut me off, and I'm okay with it, to say, see, you're speaking out of order, stop it, or, because that would bring attention that everybody should have a right to speak. And they're speaking, and nobody should shut anybody down, and we should be respectful of one another. If we can't do that, we can't expect it.
correct, the audience, and that is something else that that is a weakness of mine, because I don't wanna interrupt people that are making a point, but we can't have just complete chaos, and I will be paying much more attention to that.
One other thing, as far as the water and sewer committee goes, I really, because now that I'm more involved with it, I'd like to see a scope of what the scope of that committee is gonna be. What are we gonna do with it, what can we do, what we can't do, who's gonna respond, because I get, like the Hampton subdivision, I got an email today. I responded to them based on back and forth with you, but I'd really like to be able to more effectively go back to them and tell them, because I don't know how long that water leak was there in there. I don't know how long it's been there. Is it a day, is it 10 days, a year?
In their opinion, it's been 2 years, and because wherever the leak comes up, down that one side, that drainage pipe goes the length of that one side. And so every time we start getting leaks on that one side of the road, water starts coming out the drainage pipe. So they may go 6 months without a leak, and they may have another leak that's a completely different house, and it's now coming out the pipe
The
again.
one that specifically that JD was talking about, was it something that's been going on, or is it just new?
It is new, as far as the leak goes, where they're seeing it, it's the same old thing.
And I promised him I responded back, and he thanked me for getting back to me. I do wanna follow up as I promised him, and I sure don't wanna be somebody that doesn't respond back to me.
No, I understand.
If that's the case, I would get out of committee, I don't.
Right. No, I
I'd be able
understand.
to respond to people.
You should be able to.
And the other thing is, couple of things that affect me personally with my property, and there were a couple of things that are going on. I don't know what's the best way of going around it, going to you and discussing it, or going to Justin, or hiring my own attorney to deal with it. Because those things are really starting to affect me, and I wanna be respectful of city and city council. I don't wanna just,
If it's operational, I'm going to be out of office the next 2 days in training. I will be there Friday, and I'll be there all next week, so just stop in and talk to me, or give me a call.
I've been more than happy to, because I'd rather resolve the issues within the,
And I think part of it, we're already headed down that road, but we'll talk about it.
But thank you all for letting me add this.
One more thing.
Okay.
Oh, no, Mike, no.
Where we at on the Christmas in Cave
Okay.
committee?
What committee?
That's why I was wondering.
Committee of Lisa and Kim.
Yeah,
And
right now we are focused 100% on the Fireman's Pancake Breakfast, which is not this coming Saturday, it's the
The next.
following Saturday, from
Right.
6 in the morning till 10 in the morning.
Right.
So, Lisa has been busting her backside getting things for the silent auction, and we could not have done that without your help. Thank you so very much.
All I do is call.
Oh, Erica has been a ball. She's been amazing. I mean, she's stepped up and she's gotten a lot of donations, so we wouldn't, thank you.
You're welcome.
So,
Thank you.
yeah.
So, after that,
After that,
are
then
we
we,
making it public for, there's a deal.
we've tried, Mike, nobody's stepping forward.
I couldn't find on Facebook the thing where it asks for volunteers.
I've asked for volunteers. I created a cute little video on why you need to volunteer in the city of Cave.
But was it specific to, I loved the video, by the way, that was fantastic, but did it have Christmas and Cave on it? I missed that, I love the video.
Send somebody's name to you, did you contact them? Actually, they really wanna be involved with it, they've been involved in Kansas.
Yes, they did, but they had kids and they couldn't really do much of anything because of the kids, and so the schedule didn't work out for them. So,
I guess.
we tried.
Could you put what you're looking for, did you do like
We
a quick
did.
synopsis?
We even put that even on the application to fill out for them to, and we even did it in a PDF so they could fill it out online and not even have to write anything down. So but we're just
Do you
not.
have a list of every, housing development in the POA?
not everyone, because some of them don't have POAs. And some of them don't have,
An email for?
an email that fits with the housing development name. I'm the president this year, and so I get their email address.
Well,
And
it'd be
then
nice
next
if
year
you
it's
could do
someone
a
else.
blast to those people to say that we're looking for volunteers.
I can get it out to the ones I have.
I mean, that
There's
would be
several.
nice, and they can share with their POAs if they see fit, if they don't, but at least we tried.
Yeah.
So if we can't get a committee for next year for Christmas in Cave, yeah, we just can't. We can't continue to do our city duties, and for as big as Christmas in Cave has gotten, the city of Lowell has a company that comes in and does their Mudtown days.
I was about to say that exact same
So
thing.
that may be an option that we step into next year instead of Lisa and I doing it, have that company do it for us, but we kind of oversee it,
But it
but.
could be about the same budget, you think, but that's
Yeah.
for next year.
And
I'm sorry.
I got a phone call today from a lady that used to be on the Cave Springs State's Committee.
Yeah.
And she is wanting it revived and wanted to be a part of it, so I will give her a call tomorrow
Absolutely, send it
and
my way.
see if she's willing and can help.
Yeah, I mean, even somebody to help take out the trash during Christmas and Caves.
One of the biggest needs you have with it, like volunteers the day of the events, coordinating vendors beforehand, like all of that.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was just Lisa,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Uh,
And well, and some city employees, I think, too.
I'll sign my wife up when I get home.
I'm sure she'd appreciate that, you may wanna
I mean,
ask her
that's what she
first.
did. No, not really. I can.
Well, I'm sure she could probably get together some people that would.
Yeah.
If I call her, she'd be like, and you are who?
No, I'll tell her.
Are we ready to adjourn?
Thanks, guys.
Thank y'all.